Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. Let's get started with our hosts, Linda McKissack and Dana Gentry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. I'm Linda McKissack.
And I'm Dana Gentry.
Well, Dana, before we get started, we are still in the midst of COVID-19, which has got us all kind of going haywire, trying to figure out how to do business in this new normal. So anything new with you other than just trying to figure all that out?
Yeah, I told somebody earlier, I stole this from somebody, but they said they feel like we've been in Zoom-a-palooza. And I'm like,
For sure.
all Zoom. And then I did have another funny to share. Hold on, let me read it to you. I wanted to see if you had seen this yet. It said, oh shoot, did I lose it? Hold on, I really do have it. I took a picture of it somewhere. Oh no, I can't find it. I had the funniest thing I wanted to read to you, and I can't find it. I'll keep looking. I'll read it at the end.
Okay, sounds good. Well, and I found some funny ones too. My girlfriend sent me one that said, so it looks like my 3 hobbies are touching my face, going to restaurants, and I can't remember what the other one was, but I'm like, yeah, I think those were my hobbies too, and now I've lost them all. Can't do any of them.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
So let's start by, I always like to get real with people and talk about the real stuff that's going on, because I think we have plenty of everybody talking about what to do and how to do it and all that stuff without really hitting on what's keeping us from doing it. So let's kind of open it up to kind of what are some of our raw emotions around this virus. And I'll start, I'll kick it off. I have my moments, and I go from truly sad feeling like I think that's from a loss of control, because I have done everything in my life to try to fix anything that I don't like about my life, whether it's dysfunction in my family from early on, drama, the things that I don't like, that I don't feel good when I have them in my life. I've just kind of always managed to figure out how to control my life in such a way that they're not there. And so, I think the sadness kind of comes from feeling like I've lost of control. I go from that to kind of a paralyzed feeling, not sure of the right action to take. And these are not new. I mean, I've had them before in my career, and I'm sure other people have had them too. And then I go from that all the way over to like inspiration and inspired, because I've lived long enough and gone through enough shifts and enough downturns to know that there's always opportunity inside of these. And so the pendulum swings all the way from those other 2 emotions to inspiration, just because I know there's opportunity. And if I stay frozen and I stay sad, I'm not going to take advantage of those opportunities. We just got to figure out how to find them and how to utilize them. And so I kind of think about what in the past has helped me, what do I reach for? What are the things that help me? Because none of these are new emotions, and I bet they're not new for anybody, whatever anybody's is.
Yep.
But what has helped me in the past? So I think number one, yesterday I was a little bit stressed. Number one, Anna talked me into doing this stupid low carb thing. So I think yesterday was not a good day to start that. And so I sent her a text and said, really struggling today because number one, food is comfort for me. And so now I'm trying to eat extremely healthy, because I think I need that energy and that feel good even more, which is kind of a catch-22, because I would normally turn to crappy food in this. But anyway, I sent a text to her and said, I'm struggling. So immediately within 5 minutes, Press is on the phone with me. And I mean, just talking to him 5 or 10 minutes, he's pointing out some good things that are happening. So I think having a lifeline of someone that you can reach out to that is going to sense when you kind of are in that low or you're down, or being vulnerable enough to reach out and say, I'm struggling today. Send a text to somebody that will jump on and, and hopefully they're having inspiration that day. And so they're going to share with you the inspiration. And, or they may see it differently. And so just having someone else's perspective is awesome. And then sometimes I have to move away from the situation. Like I did stop a little bit early yesterday, probably about 4:00. And my daughter and granddaughter had asked us to go on a bike ride. And so we did that. And I felt so much better just after the bike ride. Sometimes, I'm not a big TV person, but I found myself sometimes just losing myself in a movie. I'll grab a book sometimes. And then sometimes just knowing I need to go to bed earlier that night. My head's not doing anything great. Let's just go to bed. Maybe I need some rest. And so sometimes it's exercise. Sometimes it's, just what are some healthy rituals that I have that I can just go plug into those? What are some podcasts I can listen to? And so I think everybody needs to learn that. And you probably already know, but you might not have tapped into knowing what those things are, but keep a list of them. And knowing which one to try and when to do that. And then, I want to talk a little bit about kind of what the crazy thoughts we have around not taking action. But first, I'd like to kind of hear, what are some of the raw emotions that you've kind of found yourself in, and maybe some people can relate to what we've gone through here.
Yeah. Well, I have been struggling a little bit back and forth with I am very social and I love to be around people and I like to go and do, and, actually it was funny, Blair and Press, when we were on a call, both of them said, we're homebodies. So this is actually kind of refreshing for us. And I'm like, oh, not me. I'm like used to getting out and running around and doing stuff and being with people and going on appointments and, running. So staying confined in the house is a struggle for me. And on Friday, I had been so good for 3 weeks. And on Friday, it just hit me. I mean, I just was done. And I got a migraine and I was in a bad mood. And I could just tell that I was done.
Poor Adam.
I know. It really was poor Adam. And Adam was in a great mood on Friday. And so finally on Saturday, I was like, I'm sorry. But it really, I think it just kind of hit me. But I got super anxious. And I can't think of the last time I've been anxious. And I mean, I just was like, have you ever gotten anxious where, this might be too much, like I lose my peripheral vision sometimes if I get really anxious? Like I feel like I don't know. It just like my vision was
I've heard you describe that. And I actually had an anxious feeling the other day. And I'm like, it's really weird. I don't know where that came from. But yeah, I definitely, I used to just have them occasionally, like if I was in an elevator or something. But I definitely had one of those myself the other day.
Yeah, that's what happened.
I know what it was. It was after our pastor had spoke, and it was a great message. Oh. And I told Jimmy, I said, I even had to ask myself, Linda, what's going on? Because it was a weekend. So I was like so happy it was a weekend because there were no Zoom calls.
Yeah.
And I thought, I just got to disconnect for the weekend and be recharged for Monday. And Bailey was coming over and Ellie, and I was so excited that they were coming over because Ellie's been spending Sundays with us and I had some projects for her to do. So I had to really sit down and ask myself, what are you anxious about? I mean, there's nothing going on family wise. All my family's good. So it's weird. I think that might be just something normal, or kind of our new normal through some of this.
It honestly, Linda, it hit me out of nowhere. I mean, I had been working and I'd been doing stuff all day, and then I just got super anxious and I went and sat outside, and Adam said, what's wrong with you? I said, I don't know. I feel so anxious. But I kind of like logically walked myself through it. But I went to bed at 7:50 that night. I mean, I was in bed, literally in bed, and he said I was asleep by 8:00. And I think I just was mentally worn out because as a leader, and naturally, I feel like I am a strong person, and you are the same way. So like, I'm the one everybody calls when they have a problem. It's like, But and so I've been being that person, but I think it was just too much. And the reality was I just needed a break. And so, and then Saturday I woke up and we went on a 4.5 mile bike ride, and it was sunny. And so I felt good and I kind of got it back together. But I think it's just the roller coaster of the emotions. And the reality is, for me, I think the anxious is like, when is it going to be done? And not knowing that is what makes me anxious. If I start to think about that, then I'm like get in a tailspin. And honestly, I'll tell you, Adam said, you're crazy, but I've been so upset lately over the fact that Easter is this weekend.
I know.
And I've never not been to church on Easter in 36 years of my life, ever. And so I'm like, man, this is a bummer. Easter's my favorite holiday. I love getting dressed up and going to church on Easter and doing the whole Easter thing. And it's just, I love everything about it. And so I said, well, we're like going to get dressed up and we're all going to watch Easter. But it's things like that I'm like, this just sucks. But it is what it is. We're healthy. So I keep then I flip my mindset to, okay, what's the positive? What can I control? We're not healthy, or we are healthy. We're not sick in the hospital. So it's been crazy.
Yeah. And, I think one of the things that my pastor said that maybe have triggered this on was, he was talking about the things that we've learned to depend on, and I want to kind of say maybe treat as idols in a way a little bit.
Yep.
And I think his message maybe hit a core, because I move around a lot. I don't stay in any one location. I'm okay to be alone. I'm more of an introvert than a social person, but I don't stay in any one place very long. And so I think just all of that, and it had been raining and it wouldn't stop here. I just needed a little bit of sunshine. But I think his message might have hit a core also, that maybe I stay busy and active, and that feels kind of things for me that I probably need to let go of or whatever.
Me too. Same.
So I don't know. That was very interesting, but I think we all need to check ourselves during this and just say, I think we all adapt pretty good once we kind of realize. I think it's the not knowing of, like you said, how long, and things like that. So, I'm one of those that I believe activity breeds activity.
Yeah.
And I know I'm happier, speaking of moving around and being active.
Me too.
And so one of the calls I got a little bit down this week was I felt like everybody was kind of hanging on to stuff in between their heads on why they couldn't do the activities that they need to do. And I was a little bit down after that, but it made me go back and reflect when I do it myself, and I do it too. So one of the things that I said, what are the things that cause me not to act, is the fear. It's weird. I went back to when I first started building my real estate career. And I remember I used to not, you'd hear prospect, make your calls. And I literally would get paralyzed and not do it. And the fear that I had, as crazy as this is if I go through all my list and I don't have anything when I get through the list, somehow having the list and not having ever gone through it actually will make me feel better. And that is the dumbest thing you can possibly think. But for me, that was kind of what I hung on to, is that if I kept the list and I never went through it, I somehow could feel better than if I went all the way through my list and everybody on there told me no, or I had nothing when I got through. I know that's crazy, right?
It's not crazy. There's probably so many other people that feel that same way too. I mean, it's the stories that we tell ourselves.
Well, and the rational side of me says, from past experiences, that you'll get something, even if it's just emotional capital. Even if I just build a relationship stronger, that's something I didn't have before I didn't make the calls. And that emotional capital is going to be built up when I make the calls, and there'll be something down the line. I just have had too much experience to tell me different than that now. Yeah. So I don't think I have that as much today, because of having experiences where I just went ahead and did the activity and found out that, we're not responsible for how people respond to our phone calls that we need to make, but we are responsible for stepping in and making the conversation, and then letting that conversation go where it needs to and wants to go. Right.
Yeah.
So I think we get hung up on, or I know people this week have gotten hung up on the perfect script, or, there is no magic script. We're not good enough to make people buy or sell in a time where they won't or can't buy and sell. However, I think what we're going to be shocked is people are going to buy and sell. And if we don't even at least attempt to do the activities, we're going to look up and somebody else is going to have taken that listing or got that buyer. And we didn't, because we're stuck in our head.
Yeah. It's funny because I've been having a lot of conversations in the last week or so with a lot of different leaders, some who they're on the phones and it just is, they wouldn't miss a beat to not call, and others who are normally great at calling and who are struggling, whether that's to, other agents, whether that's to their database or whatever. And it's kind of funny, but I found it, for me personally, this is actually an easier time for me to call than it is to just randomly cold call. And the reason is because I genuinely want to see if they're okay and how they're doing. Yeah. And I think sometimes when people are so used to just powering through, and maybe they're calling for a sell, they're not calling for like a check-in or a care or whatever. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like switching your mindset around those two different things too, because for me, it's always harder just to randomly call and try to sell something, right, or ask for something, as opposed to now you're actually calling and checking in and making a true care call. And you're building that, what you said, emotional capital. And what I've been saying is mind share.
Yeah.
And I think, Linda, that's why Gary Keller says when the market share that you lose in a shift, you never get back, but the market share that you gain in a shift, you have forever. Because, we've talked about this numerous times, and I talked about this again today on a live stream. I still haven't had one of my service providers reach out to me.
Mm-mm.
Not one.
Mm-mm.
It's crazy to think.
It is crazy. And I think you're right. I think if you were doing numbers and you do calls to do numbers, now you're at a loss. Whereas, I just got off a video that I recorded with Monica on why now is the great time to reach out to other agents and build those relationships.
Yep.
And I think you're like me. I do it to build a relationship and then see what happens after that. But if you're used to just dialing for dollars and you're just hammering it out, I could see how you would be stuck, because that will not fly right now. That's not what you need to be doing, because this is not the environment and the time for that. Now is the time to say, how are you doing? What's going on in your life? And, just start the conversation and let them take it where they need it to go or want it to go, and then figure out how you can step into whatever their value gap really is.
Yeah, I think that's, somebody told me, I was talking to somebody today, and then I actually saw some of our people, Peter Chabris and Stephanie Evelo, posted on Facebook. I guess Stephanie must have, I don't know the story, must have done a favor for Peter's Market Center or something. And so Peter sent her and her family a whole box, you would love this, I love this, of like 6 or 7 different Grater's ice creams.
Oh man, I need to do something for Peter right away. I
know. I thought, gosh, I wish I owed Peter a favor right now. I could call in on it and he could send me some ice cream. But I thought it's thinking of things like that. It's like thinking of how, because for her and her kids are at home and her family's at home, she's probably working, and her husband. I mean, it's,
and I love that. That, me, gift is my love language to other people. That's just right up my alley. I love that. And especially now.
Yep.
And now is the time to make calls and to do those kind of things, because people have time. They have time to take your call. They're looking for a call. They're happy to have the call. And so let's talk about some of the, if you and I were making calls to your database right now, what are some of the ways that you would do those care calls? Let's give them some ideas.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple different types. So for one, the ones that I've been calling a lot first have been people who I know in our database who own small businesses, or they have their own business, because to me, that's kind of a different care call than just calling somebody who's bought a house from you or sold a house with you. Because if they own a small business or they own a business in general, a local business, chances are they're probably struggling somewhat right now. Either they've had to close their doors or whatever. And so those calls have looked more like, hey, normal, hey, want to check in, want to see how you are, how your family is, how you guys doing? Is there anything that you need? I just had you on my mind, wanted to check in with you. And then 2, what can I do to help your business? What can I do to help your HVAC company? What can I do to help your local taco business? Or, whatever it is, whatever that is that it looks like. And then adding them to the closed business Facebook group, sending them a copy, asking their permission to send them a copy of Shift, or send them a copy of Tough Times Don't Last, but Tough People Do, or whatever it is, to just try to bring them value. Because I think, and you and I've talked about this a lot, we are all one community and we need to collaborate together. And so those care calls are different to me, because I legitimately have a passion for wanting to help them. And I was a business owner prior to Keller Williams and knew nothing like I know now. And I think a lot of people don't get the value that we get. Not everybody gets to learn from a billionaire every single week. I mean, quite frankly.
Yeah, so true.
And so that's a different care call. So one, I would say separate your calls into who are your clients, and then who are your clients that are business owners, because you can help them in a different way.
Yeah, totally. And I've always, no matter what's going on in the marketplace, I've always been someone that calls with value.
Yep.
So that wouldn't change for me. I would always have something of value I could either share with them or give them, or, I've since learned probably I would ask more questions and just try to meet them where they are and offer anything that I might have that could help them in some way. But if the people that are listening, if they're KW agents, offering Keller Preferred, right now people are saying, how can I cut my expenses? How can I save money? So I've been on some webinars and Zooms that I've taken good notes about how, maybe the SBA money.
Yeah.
How can I help them understand to get the SBA money? How can I, again, the shift book, give them a shift book. I actually paid my granddaughter this Sunday to put I signed the shift books and wrote a card, put my magnet, and all in, you posted in packets, and she stuffed them for me. So they're ready to go. The minute I get off the phone with them, I can write them a personal note, stick that in the mail to them. But if you're a KW agent, listen to this, you could always call and say, hey, I know everybody's looking for ways to save money these days. It's real quick. Go on to Keller Covered. We don't get any money for it. It's not anything we make money off of, but if you will put, when it asks if you have an agent, if you'll put my name, you'll get an extra 15% discount. Again, we make no money off of it. It's just a service we provide to our customers and clients. And you can go in and immediately get an estimate on your insurance. And by the way, I'm seeing lots of people save lots of money that way. So to me, that would be something I would offer.
Yeah.
And then same thing with Keller Mortgage. I was just
getting ready to say
maybe
that.
do a refinance. Have you thought about a refinance? You'd get a couple of months break on your mortgage.
Yep.
And the rates are super low. So I'm going to offer something of value, but I'm going to have a lot of tools in mind, but I'm going to listen to them and see which one fits them best and which one they might need the most. I think now is a perfect time we had Chantel Ray on our podcast probably a month or so ago, and she offers a great thing for businesses with Facebook. Now would be a great time especially if they're trying to do takeout orders, to offer, to let everybody know that they're doing takeout orders and things like that. So just any kind of value that you can think of to give someone, or just call and say, how are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm just checking in. Is there anything I can do to help you? And just be an ear for people to vent, because just like you and I said in the very beginning, sometimes what we got to do is just have somebody we can vent to and talk to, and they probably need the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. And honestly, I think if you have been somebody that hasn't regularly called your database, I would throw that out the window. Like, don't even worry about that, because right now, if you haven't called them in a year, this is a perfect time to call them and just check on them. That's where I think people are getting messed up with this whole, they're freezing to call people.
Yeah. I used to always say, they're not laying around thinking about you as much as you think they're laying around thinking about you. They have not thought about you. Now, when you call, they're going to be appreciative, but here's the thing. If any other service providers call, it may remind them that you haven't called.
Yeah.
Like we're thinking about our bankers and all of our service providers. We're sitting around here going, wait a minute, they haven't called us. So if someone else happens to call them and you haven't, I think they might be aware. Otherwise, trust me, they're not thinking about how long it's been since you have not called them.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. No, I don't think so at all. I think the most important thing is just to get on, just to do it, don't wait for the perfect script, just do it. And, it's like Gary told us on our call last week, the one thing that everybody needs to be doing right now is double down on your calls. And he said he's doing it on the phone, 5, 6, 7 hours a day. And, I was working with one of our leaders on Friday. I think it was Friday. My days are running together now. The thing I was trying to find to read, you said, from now on, the days of the week will be called this day, that day, the next don't know what day, and something else. It's so true.
Yeah. My girlfriend sent me one the other day and said, remember when we were young enough to have panties that had the days of the week on them?
We need them again.
We need them again.
I love that. So funny.
I mean, I don't even know how many weeks it's been. Do you?
I think this is the 4th week, I think.
It is? Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, I was working with them. And I said, if you just make it in your time block to say, hey, I'm just going to sit down from this time to this time and just make calls. That's it. And then I went and I know we're not supposed to go out, but I got this ginormous 200 box of little cards from Target.
Yeah. And
every day I'm going to make myself write 20 of these, and to agents in the market centers, agents in our region, agents at other brokerages, my clients, whoever, just to send them. I got these cute little stickers and all this stuff. I'm like reverting back to middle school, but just because anything you can do just to make somebody's day, and everybody loves to get something in the mail anyway, especially now they're stuck at home.
Hey, I think I've checked my mail every single day, and I never check my mail. I mean, Jimmy will say, "Hey, you want to check the mail?" And I'm like, "No, not really," because my sister will always, when she was always here, she would work. She would go get the mail for us and put it on the counter. So and I could care less. I could care less about going through the mail because anything real important goes to my office.
Yeah.
But I will kind of just, if she lays it on the counter, I'll kind of scan through it real quick. But he'll say, "I've been to the mailbox every single day, and I've probably mailed more myself than I've ever mailed."
Yeah.
So I think now is the time, and we don't normally have the time to do these things. So, ask yourself this question. If this were to end, please Lord, let it end. But if this were to end in 2 weeks from now or a month from now, what are the things I will have wished I had done because I had the time to get them done?
Yeah.
And that's kind of just what I keep asking myself. And what's interesting is when I only have 2 days at home, I don't hardly get anything good done. I will have good ideas, but I don't ever get to them. However, having day after day after day, I am so much more productive with stuff that I would normally,
Yep.
and what I do is I take my personal list of anything that's personal and I put it for the weekend. And then anything that is business, I put it for through the week. And so I would never have done that had I not known when this was going to end.
Yeah. Isn't it funny? Have you done this? Have you thought through yet all the things that you're going to not take for granted anymore? Like
Oh,
I am
yeah.
not going to take for granted and make excuses to get up and go to the gym because now all I want to do is go to the gym and the gym is closed.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing, and I've got such a passion for this, but I'm making myself notes of what I want to teach other people so that if we're ever in this position again, they're in a different position. Because one of the things I've truly done is I have been grateful for my beautiful home that I never have time to spend any time with. And if I was a realtor right now, I'd run an ad that says, if you're quarantined, do you want to be quarantined here or here? You know what I mean? Because that's things you have to be thinking about. But I'm also very grateful that over the years, I've put a nice gym downstairs. Yeah. And you can't do those things if you don't make hay while the sun shines, as we say here in Texas. So when you're making money, if you're not putting that money somewhere to multiply it and to get create wealth and passive income, you don't get an opportunity to get ahead and do all those things. And now's the time that you wished you did and you had them. So I'm super excited. I'm making tons of notes because I've always been passionate about this topic, leverage and freedom and passive income. I'm even more passionate now because I want people, when we come out of this, to be so hungry and aggressive towards creating that wealth and passive income. Not that you're 100% guaranteed, because this has promised us, but I think there's lots of great things more we could do to be in a better position when these type of things happen.
Yeah, actually I've screenshotted this and I meant to send this to you today and it just got busy, but I saw this little thing and it says multiple streams of income is no longer a luxury, it's a necessity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, sometimes we get tired of our own message. And I think I was kind of fading on that because especially teaching people to create wealth and passive income and freedom of their time and relationships and money, because it's not something that you get immediately. It just happens. You get it over time. And so this has just rejuvenated me that my message is still very, very important. And I'm not going to get tired of doing it. I'm just going to figure out new and creative ways to get realtors to understand and take action on doing it.
Yeah, totally agree. Love it.
So Dana, we're about out of time. Are there any final thoughts or things that you would want to add about just getting into activity and seeing what beautiful things come out the other side rather than staying paralyzed or frozen or busy doing the other things or preoccupied? What would you add to this topic of just understanding the importance of, getting into activity right now?
I would just say, remember the acronym for crisis, circumstances requiring an immediate shift in strategy. I've been saying that over and over and over because I don't like that word. And now I'm like, okay, I like that acronym. So I'm going to like that word a little bit more, but circumstances requiring an immediate shift in strategy, because we have to shift our strategy. We just can't freeze. We still have to take action. We still have to do stuff, and you're going to have to shift your strategy to be able to do that. And then the other thing I would say is, think about how you would want to be called or how you would want to be reached out to, or,
Yes.
think about just how we've been saying our service providers haven't reached out to us. Well, think about how that makes you feel if yours haven't. And then don't be that person. Go grab the mind share, and just come from contribution.
Well, and I like to say, think about what questions they might have and step into those conversations. And so, we're the real estate expert. We should be letting people know, hey, guess what? Some people are still selling. Some people are still buying. Here's what the rates are doing. We should be that expert, because I know for myself, it's interesting because I was visiting my sister. She's the only other person that we've really kind of been around, and we've been around for the same amount of time, but she stays at her house. We stay at ours, but we both of us lost a sister recently. And so I picked her up and we went to the viewing where they just let us in privately to see her. But I was just checking on her every day to make sure she was okay, because she's just our little mother caretaker for all of us. And so she was really, really hit hard with this. And her son has rent houses, and he was wondering, will things lease right now? Could he? And I'm thinking, you know what? These are the kind of questions our customers have. Yeah. And if we're not stepping into those conversations, they don't know. So we have to step up as the expert and think, what are they asking themselves right now about real estate? What do they wish someone would call and let them know? Is it impossible to sell right now? Is that an essential? Have you even called them to tell them that it's an essential business?
Yeah, that could be your first call.
in most states. Yeah. Or as you ask about them and care about them, just say, hey, I want to give you some updates that you might not know because you're not privy to all this information. But number one, we are an essential business. And guess what? We still got people buying and we still got people selling. And here's some of the precautions that people are taking. Here's how we're doing some of the open houses. Just provide information. And like I always like to say is, you don't have to have the perfect thing to say.
Yep.
But you do, and don't wait for the perfect, because perfect is what keeps us frozen. But you do have to start the conversation. That's all you're responsible for. So get clarity around asking, how are they? How are you feeling about everything? What are your thoughts? Tell me about you and your family. Is everybody healthy? All those things. And then let it go where it goes from there. And just think, how could I add value to these people's lives? And what information would they expect a real estate expert to have on hand and to just share with them? And by the way, it's okay to say, I don't know that, but I'll get back with you about that. I'll find out. So I think just wait, and don't wait till you know everything and everything, your scripts are perfect or any of those things. Just come from the heart and make your care calls.
Yeah. And actually, Linda, I just thought of one more thing too. Take care of yourself. Because if you aren't taking care of yourself and you aren't getting your mindset right, or you don't have like the person, like you said, to go and call. I love that Josh, my best friend and my partner, we are always on opposites, meaning when I have a bad day, he's having the best day ever. And when I'm having a really good day, is his bad day. And so it just always works out like that. And so thankfully Friday, he was having a really good day when I was having my meltdown. So he was able to lift me back up. But take care of yourself first, and make sure that you have somebody that I say you can dump on, or that you can talk to or work it through. Because if you aren't in the right headspace, then you're not going to do any justice calling your people.
Yeah. And if you know something's going to be hard for you, ask yourself, if I make no calls till this thing ends, if I make no calls, what's my life going to look like? If I make calls, what's the worst that's going to happen? The worst that's going to happen is I'm going to build emotional capital. And then, do like I did this week. I sent Anna a check because I knew food was going to be hard for me while I'm stressed. And I do not like to lose money. So I send her $1,000 check. And if I don't do what I'm supposed to do on eating healthy, then Anna's going to get to cash that check. And I do not like to lose money. And I knew it would work for me. I hate it, but I love it at the same time. So if you're unwilling to do it on yourself, what would be the accountable thing that if you did, or the person you sent a check to that cashed it, if you didn't say, hey, I made 3 calls today or 5 calls today, they get to cash the check? Figure out what you got to do.
Good idea.
If it's not easy for you, put the accountability around it.
Yeah. Love it.
And I just want to say thanks for listening today. And if you get an opportunity, Dana and I would love it. One of the biggest compliments you can give us is to give us a review. And also, if you've got a challenge, a question, or just a topic that you would like for Dana and I to cover on our podcast, be sure and reach out to us at info@everything life and real estate. And remember, the biggest compliment you can give us is pass this podcast off to someone else who you believe could benefit from listening to our conversations. And Dana, I just want to say, stay safe, stay healthy. And I would always be someone that you can call if you're having a down day.
Ditto. Me too. You too. Thank you.
All right. Talk to you next week.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to inspire you to live an abundant real estate life. Don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you the best content. Find this and other valuable information at everythinglifeandrealestate.com.